My name is Brian Camenker. I'm the president of MassResistance from Massachusetts. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. I'd like to welcome you all to the Stand for the Sanctity and Health of the Family Action and Education meeting, which is being put on by our MassResistance Texas chapter. MassResistance is a pro-family group which has been around over 22 years. It was started in Massachusetts, but we now have activists and supporters in all 50 states and every continent except Antarctica, and we're working on that. Besides Texas, we have 7 chapters across the country from Maine to California, and also in Australia, Nigeria, and the UK. And we have, as I said, activists in many other countries. And we're close to starting about a dozen new chapters in the US and Canada. So, people ask, well, why the name Mass Resistance? It's sort of an odd name for a pro-family group. We started out as a Parents' Rights Coalition, incorporated back in 1995. And about a dozen years ago, we realized that if we wanted to be honest with people, that we're not fighting for things, like all this pro-family groups say. We're really fighting against things. We're fighting against bad things that are happening in the schools and in society, and attacks on religious people and against religious belief. And in particular, we were inspired by Thomas Jefferson and the Founding Fathers, who wrote a lot on this subject, and they correctly understood that a republic naturally breeds despotism among those in power, and that there must be a constant resistance by ordinary people to keep that from happening. I think the culture war is a perfect example of that. Thomas Jefferson actually put it in very colorful terms. He said that in every generation, the streets must flow with the blood of tyrants. So that's how strongly they felt that ordinary citizens need to constantly show that the people in power can't just do anything they want. And so we're here to learn what's happening in Texas and across America and how to fight back. And, we're up against a very formidable force. And to many people whose children have been affected by it and whose families have been affected by it in the schools and everything else, it's not an abstract thing, it's very personal. Many mothers and fathers in particular have become active in our group after their children were, not only indoctrinated but molested and had propagandized on horrible things in their public schools and elsewhere because of that. Children and given homosexual and sexual images at a young age, counseled that they should do this, counseled that they should become transgender and have themselves sterilized, horrible things. And I've talked to many of the people on the other side over the years. I got involved with this when my daughter was in first grade, and she's 30 now. And in general, the people that are doing this don't really care about what happens to us and our kids. It's generally about them. It's generally about some vision they have for some ideal society that can't be rationally explained. But they don't care how we feel. And since they cannot rationalize or justify what they're doing, they constantly, fall back on name calling to anybody who doesn't agree with them. So you'll be called a bigot and a hater and a homophobe and anything else. That's what they do. And the only way to avoid that, if you're fighting this, is to just agree with them on everything. You can't even agree with them on some of the stuff. And we find that all over the world where we are fighting for religious values. And if you try to avoid that, the only way, as I said, is to just agree with them on everything. But the reason that I'm involved with this is I believe that this can be beaten. And we've had a lot of successes around the country. And that's why we're here. I believe that those of us who are concerned have two choices. We can either fight back effectively, or we can let them have their way. And, one of the things that concerns me, and has concerned me for a long time, is that many people on our side think they can take a middle path of doing things that are not effective, but seem like they're confronting these evil things, such as not telling the truth, not offending people, maybe ministering to the other people, which can be good in their own way, but are not effective in stopping what we want to stop. And because they still get their way. And so as I said, what we are hoping to do is help show you what's happening, help explain to you what's happening, and show you ways that can be effective this afternoon. So I hope that you will find this conference to be useful and enlightening.